How do you know that your teenage son might be at risk? At risk of acting out, at risk of losing future relationships, or even at risk of being disconnected in his current relationships and in your family? My name is John Davis. I am a master's level therapist. I specialize with at-risk youth in the Denver, Colorado area. I've worked with almost 1,500 youth and family in this area, and I've specialized in this specific area of being able to help moms and dads and young adults identify some of the warning signs, as well give you some positive tips to be able to connect better with your son. First and foremost, I want to make sure that everybody is very clear in understanding that some of the warning signs that I'm going to list for you, they may look like your average teenage guy. So I want to make sure that you don't panic, you don't just send your son off for therapy or for treatment. I want to make sure that this is something that is used as an educational tool, and the key defining point of this is how much do any of the warning signs impair or impact their lives. That is where we need to start looking into getting some extra help and some extra encouragement in your life. Some of the warning signs for you are withdrawal or isolation from relationships. That includes family relationships, it includes dating relationships, it includes being connected at school or in sports, as well also in their social world. We also need to pay attention to the dramatic change in any of their moods. We have some guys that have acted out from a depressive perspective, and they're struggling and they're isolated and withdrawn, and then all of a sudden everything just looks really rosy. And sometimes those guys are getting really comfortable with the fact that they've settled in on making bad decisions in terms of their behavior choices. That is also a warning sign for us. Our third one is a higher level of impulsivity, but the impulsivity that ends up crossing the line into inappropriate behavioral acting out. Our fourth thing is that our guys really struggle in terms of a low level of emotional, verbal, and relational processing. Another area is low coping skills. It's a mechanism in our brain that is wired that allows us to be able to process linearly, steps of this is where I'm struggling and this is what I need to do. When you are withdrawn and disconnected at the level that I'm talking about, the coping skills and then the problem-solving skills are going to be very, very low. At the same time, we're going to have a teenager that is ruminating and spending way too much time thinking about all of the different things that are impacting and affecting him, but they're not verbally processing that, which then therefore means that we're going to be a lot more verbally aggressive. And that aggression is something that takes on a completely different animal in and of itself, in the fact that it starts impacting everybody that's around you, and obviously it would be a level of inappropriateness. We also need to focus on depressive symptoms as well as self-esteem issues. Self-esteem is where the guys value themselves, and at this level they struggle to feel like they are important, that they are liked, that they are loved, or that they are well connected. And obviously that would then therefore affect mood stability and or a vacillation between what might look normal or what might look depressed. Now I want to give you some helpful tips. I've written a book. The book is called Extreme Pursuit. It is published by Nav Press. You can purchase a copy of the book at navpress.com. But some of these tips are tools that I use on a daily basis with every one of the guys that I work with, and I have found some wonderful ways to be able to connect with them that are different than what you have been using in the past. Number one is I want you to start breaking the family rules. The rules that you have used that may have been tried and true when your parents parented you, these are something that I want you to incorporate a lot more flexibility in terms of connecting and having a relationship with your son. Breaking the rules, essentially can look like us taking a break, not feeling like we have to process out the problem or the conflict right now. We want to try to emulate what the teenage world looks like, which means sometimes they need to have a break, and sometimes we need to be able to come back and talk about this tomorrow. We want to model what they are living in their teen world. My second concept is what I refer to as the 90-second window. This is awesome because you can use 30 seconds times 3, where you can pick 3 different points that you want to address with your son. Number one, it limits the amount of verbal information that you're throwing his way, which is usually your agenda, and it's about you and generally not about your son. So the reason why 90 seconds is important is because us as parents, we want to make sure we get our point across. We want to make sure that they really, hear you. And my thing is, I would rather have it be brief and short and to the point. We live in a get-it-now information society. It is important that we can also jump into that world and give them information quickly and then allow them to be able to process it. Great way of using that tool is to use a note card where you can write down the 3 things that you might be frustrated about, give it to your son, and ask him to respond to you as to what he's going to do that might look different. The third concept that I want to use is what I refer to as shoulder-to-shoulder communication. It is a tool that has been awesome with the guys that I work with, because what I'm doing is I'm modeling something that really kind of softens the way that we communicate. Face-to-face communication oftentimes is done in conflict or when we're trying to address somebody when we're frustrated. Why it works so efficiently is because we're standing or sitting or riding in the car side by side. We don't have to make eye contact. The fact that there's no eye contact with a teenager means that it's allowing him to process and think and then be able to come back and maybe engage into the relationship with you. And that also can be activity-based, doing a chore in the backyard or just driving on our way down to Home Depot to pick up something for the house. Our fourth tool that we want to use is pursuing rather than hunting. As we know, we oftentimes hunt our teenagers when they come home. They've had a bad day, they've had a test, or they're stressed about relationships, and they want to be left alone. So they drop their books, they run up to their room, and oftentimes as parents, we want to follow them up. Hey, how was your day? What's going on? And what you get is a response of, leave me alone, give me a break, I need 5 minutes by myself. We need to be able to let them come to us, and the way to do that is to give them a break, give them some space. We need to force ourselves as parents to have to be quiet, and we have to wait. That way we're encouraging our son a good communication tool that allows them to come towards us, and that is the model of pursuing. The last one that I use is what I refer to as teenagers are like crock pots. We all know what a crock pot is, something we put some food in, some spices, some fluids. We let it be on a medium heat for 8 hours, and at the end of the day, we've got a great meal that we did very little work for. Teenagers are like crock pots in the fact that they are so stressed in their daily lives, in their relationships, the performance issues, sports, dating, etc., and they just throw it all into their brain and they have it on a medium to a high heat for an extended period of time. And with the fact that they are low in communication, low in problem solving, they really struggle to be able to get that information out. So over an extended period of time or even a short period of time, that will start to fester, it will start to boil, and eventually it will crack, or it may spew everything out, or it may explode. I hope these 5 tips and I hope the warning signs are something that you will be able to use as efficient tools and be able to connect and have a deeper relationship with your son. You'll also be able to find these tips and tools as well as many more in my book called Extreme Pursuit, published by NAV Press. And I hope this has been helpful for you.